We got a big announcement coming this week, and it has nothing to do with Jake Paul. Pay attention. It's MVP.
To go from fighting Gervonta Davis, way smaller, to now fighting boxing Francis Ngannou. I mean, listen, if he does it, fair play. But I just call number one bull on this.
May not, probably won't, who knows, but just a couple of phone calls, that's it.
After Gervonta Davis pulled out amid legal troubles, Jake Paul's December bout is in flux. Rumors of replacements from MMA powerhouse Francis Ngannou to fan favorite Nate Diaz are flying fast. Each name brings a different level of risk and a massive potential payday. To begin with, the rescheduled boxing match for Jake Paul is tentatively targeting 2 potential dates. Paul's team is actively exploring or has approached several high-profile fighters to step in. Mike Coppinger tweeted, as Chris Mannix reported, Jake Paul's return could shift to December with the November 14th Netflix exhibition in jeopardy due to the latest allegations against Gervonta Davis. Sources tell Ring Magazine that December 12th and 19th are possibilities. According to reports, journalist Mike Coppinger states that Jake Paul's fight with Gervonta Davis, originally set for November 14th on Netflix, is in jeopardy due to the allegations against Davis. Paul's team is actively exploring several replacement opponents, including the aforementioned Ryan Garcia, Terence Crawford, Francis Ngannou, and Nate Diaz. Mark Coppinger tweeted 2 other names being explored: Francis Ngannou and Nate Diaz. Elsewhere, Michael Bisping reports the Jake Paul vs. Gervonta Davis fight is likely cancelled, with the potential replacements being Nate Diaz or Francis Ngannou. Bisping calls the Ngannou matchup bullshit, arguing that Paul is unlikely to fight such a dangerous opponent given his history of choosing smaller or older competitors.
Here's a tweet I'm reading from Mike Coppinger. As reported, Jake Paul's return could shift to December with the November 14th Netflix exhibition in jeopardy due to the latest allegations against Gervonta Davis. Sources tell Ring Magazine that December 12th and the 19th are possibilities, right? And here are the potential opponents: Nate Diaz or Francis Ngannou. Now listen, we know that Jake Paul has been out there and he's typically taking on people that are way older than him, like Mike Tyson, who's 58, Anderson Silva, who was way past his prime, people like Nate Diaz, who were way smaller. Gervonta Davis really did take the piss. I mean, that was just the craziest shout ever. To go from fighting Gervonta Davis, way smaller, to now fighting boxing Francis Ngannou. I mean, listen, if he does it, fair play. But I just call number one bullshit.
Following this, Bisping considers a rematch with Nate Diaz to be highly likely, as it would be a massive payday. Conversely, he doubts Jake Paul would fight a large, experienced opponent like Francis Ngannou or Anthony Joshua, though he admits such a move would be admirable and earn Paul significant props.
He beat him once already. I'm sure Nate Diaz would love to get another big payday, because obviously boxing on Netflix and going up against Jake Paul, given his success, given the name that he has, and given the magnitude of his event, Nate Diaz will get paid an absolute fortune once again. We know that it wasn't too long ago Jake Paul was talking about boxing Anthony Joshua, and that never came to fruition. There's absolutely no way he would box Anthony Joshua. If he did, if he was to do something like that, whether it be Anthony Joshua or Francis Ngannou, I'd give him his props, I'd give him his credit. And you never know, maybe he would do it just for the clout, because in many ways it would be, sorry about the airport notifications, it would be, you know, an admirable thing to do, and it will be Jake Paul taking on somebody bigger.
Continuing his point, Bisping is discussing Jake Paul's controlled opponent selection, stating his wins lack thrill because the situations are manufactured to ensure he wins, fighting a 58-year-old Mike Tyson or the much smaller Nate Diaz and Gervonta Davis. He uses Francis Ngannou as a counterexample of a truly dangerous, legitimate risk.
Thrill of victory. There's no thrill in beating someone where it's such a manufactured situation that it's almost impossible to lose. Now, we know Jake Paul's suing people that says his fights are fixed. I don't think his fights are fixed, but they are, as I say, set up in such a situation that it's almost impossible to lose. I mean, a 58-year-old Mike Tyson is not a Mike Tyson in his prime. And Nate Diaz, that isn't a boxer, even though he has got hands and can fight, he is way smaller. That's in Jake Paul's favour, and certainly going up against Gervonta Davis, he was so much smaller. Of course, that is in his favour. Going up against Francis Ngannou, a man that pushed Tyson Fury, a man that dropped Tyson Fury, and a man that, according to a lot of people, and if I remember rightly when I watched the fight, Ngannou versus Tyson Fury, he was very unlucky not to get that decision.
Expanding on this idea, Bisping examines Jake Paul's identity as a businessman versus a fighter. While acknowledging Paul's massive commercial success, he asserts that Paul is primarily a good businessman who must challenge himself by fighting ranked cruiserweight boxers to earn the title of a true fighter.
That's not being a fighter. It's just not. You know, you want to go out, you want to challenge yourself. There's plenty of ranked boxers at cruiserweight that he could fight, that would take the matchup against Jake Paul, because he is a draw. He does do big business. The fight with Mike Tyson on Netflix was one of the most watched sporting spectacles on TV or on streaming, whatever you want to call it, right? So fair play, the man has garnered and gathered a massive audience, and for that you've got to say fair play. The man's doing well, he's doing good business, he's a good businessman, but he's not a fighter.
Similarly, Showbiz The Adult highlights that Ryan Garcia is eager to fight but is being held back. The Adult emphasizes that Garcia is ranting about being prevented from fighting and making money, which confirms his eagerness to return to the ring after being involved in one of the biggest recent pay-per-view events.
We've had this many times where a fighter fought on another network, right? But then I think Carlos Adames, he fights on Amazon, fights with PPC, but was fighting on DAZN against Shiraz. Hey, Oscar. And here's the most revealing part. Here is the biggest part, to be honest. Where he said that Ryan was ranting, talking about, you're trying to stop me from making money, meaning Ryan wants to fight.
You know, Ryan Garcia's probably going to rant saying, oh, you're keeping me from making money and this and that and fighting. No.
He just, that's the most revealing part. I should put this at the beginning because that is the biggest part of the whole thing. Ryan wants to fight. He's ranting, saying that you're trying to stop me from making money. He's like, no, we just can't. But Ryan was a part of his fight with Gervonta.
Additionally, Adult is primarily discussing Jake Paul's promotion, MVP, recent involvement with DAZN, specifically sharing a card with BKFC, and referencing the announcement of a WBC light flyweight champion's victory.
And now wave it off! There is a new king of violence, and his name is
He only fought on Netflix once. Wait a minute, MVP just had a whole card on DAZN. Yeah, they shared a night where Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship was on DAZN. I saw MVP card on DAZN.
Declaring your winner by majority decision, and still the WBC Light Flyweight Champion of the World.
In a related development, Eddie Hearn confirmed that a fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua is possible, but its execution faces a major hurdle: AJ's exclusive contract with DAZN. Because AJ is tied to DAZN, Hearn stated that a mandatory side deal between DAZN and Netflix must be completed, as he will not authorize the bout without DAZN's official consent, a situation he has already discussed with both fighters' teams.
There would have to be a lot of things that fall into place, but it's possible.
If that were to be the case, AJ's exclusive to DAZN, so would that mean that Netflix and DAZN would have to do a side deal in order for that type of fight to happen?
That's one of the things that would have to fall into place. I mean, I am exclusive to DAZN. AJ is exclusive to DAZN. So without, DAZN's consent or blessing or a deal that DAZN are happy with, we wouldn't move forward anyway. I've been hounded by the media all day about, have you spoke to Jake Paul, this, that. Yes, I've spoken to Nikisa. We've talked over it and around it. I know the situation.
Adding further context, Eddie Hearn added that Anthony Joshua has signaled his desire to fight Jake Paul, instructing his promoter to simply specify the when and where. Despite AJ's apparent commitment, Hearn cautions that this is currently just verbal chatter, not a signed deal, and he still finds the actual realization of the fight to be unlikely.
Just let me know where and when. I mean, he would, of course, we've discussed this before. We don't get too excited because we don't know what's for real and what's not for real. But as I told you 3 or 4 months ago, if you want AJ to end this, sign the contract.
So has there been a contract?
No, nothing like that. There's been a conversation, that's all. And, you know, we will potentially continue those conversations, or maybe not. But, you know, it's not, for us, if it presented itself and everybody was happy, there's a very good chance it could happen. But it may not, probably won't, who knows, but just a couple of phone calls, that's it.
At the same time, Edmund Evagian, Ring Life reported that Jake Paul's MVP Promotions is investigating the civil lawsuit against Gervonta Davis for alleged domestic violence. While condemning violence and conducting an internal review, MVP is simultaneously searching for a replacement opponent to salvage the event, which was already facing poor ticket sales.
Also, was wissen wir über den ganzen Fall? Die Promotion-Firma von Jake Paul, also MVP Promotions, hat auch schon ein Statement online dazu abgegeben. Dort schreiben die, MVP Promotions hat nach Bekanntwerden der am 30. Oktober 2025 in Miami-Dade County gegen Gervonta Davis eingereichten Zivilklage umgehend eine Untersuchung eingeleitet, erklärt MVP in einer Samstagnachmittag veröffentlichten Stellungnahme. Wir sammeln derzeit Informationen und prüfen die Details, um sicherzustellen, dass jede Entscheidung, die wir treffen, gründlich durchdacht ist. Wir verurteilen jede Form von Gewalt aufs Schärfste und werden diesen Fall mit Sorgfalt und Respekt gegenüber allen Beteiligten behandeln. Wir werden über die nächsten Schritte entscheiden, sobald wir unsere Prüfung abgeschlossen und die entsprechenden Parteien konsultiert haben. Bis dahin werden wir uns nicht weiter dazu äußern. Also, die schauen jetzt gerade, was dort quasi passiert ist. Die versuchen selbst ihre Informationen zusammenzusuchen und zu sehen, ob der Kampf denn tatsächlich so stattfinden kann oder nicht. Allerdings weiß man einfach schon aus anderen Berichten, dass sie parallel natürlich schon auf der Suche nach einem Ersatzgegner sind. Weil, auch wenn Gervonta Tank Davis ausfällt, das Event ist halt trotzdem gekauft und gebucht. Ne? Die Leute haben Tickets gekauft.
Furthermore, Edmund discussed Jake Paul's replacement search, confirming Terence Crawford was approached but would likely badly beat up Paul due to his elite skill. He also mentioned Ryan Garcia was contacted, noting Garcia is a better boxer but is slightly too small for Paul's weight class.
Jedenfalls, wie gesagt, die suchen gerade nach neuen Gegnern und hier laut Berichten soll sogar Terence Crawford einer derjenigen gewesen sein, auf die man zugegangen ist, um diesen Kampf zu machen. Ich sag euch ehrlich, also Terence Crawford, der würde Jake Paul auf jeden Fall besiegen. Er ist natürlich auch ein bisschen kleiner und leichter, aber er ist vom Skill-Level einfach so unfassbar gut und er ist körperlich auch nicht mehr so viel kleiner und schwächer, sage ich mal, im Vergleich zu Gervonta Davis. Terence Crawford würde auf jeden Fall einen Jake Paul mies durch den Ring prügeln. Ein weiterer Typ, der als Gegner ausgesucht wurde bzw. kontaktiert wurde, ist Ryan Garcia. Ja, Ryan Garcia von der Größe knapp 1,80 Meter, aber halt auch unter 70 Kilogramm. Schwieriges Ding, sage ich. Ich glaube, dass er auch körperlich einfach ein bisschen Schwierigkeiten haben würde mit einem Jake Paul. Boxerisch ist er natürlich viel besser.
At the same time, Boxing Ego highlights the controversy surrounding Shakur Stevenson's decision to work with Jake Paul, asserting that the situation is a unique conundrum compared to other instances of rival sparring. He promises to present a clip of Stevenson later to cook the audience and expose the boxer's alleged inconsistency regarding his participation in Paul's camp.
Even knew where the boots was. So, completely different isolated situation. Shakur Stevenson is his own little conundrum. So him working with Jake Paul, I see it as different. Because I think, and it's not just Shakur, but he's definitely one of the people at the forefront of this. And stay to the end of this video. I'm going to play a clip from Shakur. Y'all don't want to miss this because I'm about to remind y'all and I'm about to cook y'all. Just know that. I'm going to cook you. Boxing Ego is going to cook you. So you can say whatever you want. Oh, Ego, I'm going to cook you. Boxing Ego will cook you. You know you done fucked up.
Building on that, Ego highlights Shakur Stevenson's hypocrisy. He points out that despite Stevenson recently stating he wants to be completely unlinked from Gervonta Tank Davis and is over it, Stevenson then immediately flew to Puerto Rico to join Jake Paul's camp. Ego argues this is illogical, as the move directly links the 135-pound champion Stevenson to Paul's effort to defeat his rival Davis.
Also, recently, Shakur Stevenson stated that pretty much he does not want to be linked to Tank. Don't ask him nothing about Gervonta Davis. He's over it. He don't care. Tank ain't gonna fight him. Like that kind of energy. All right. But then Jake Paul announces he's fighting Tank. And then you run up and fly to Puerto Rico, where I believe Jake Paul trains, or get flown out. You get flew out, right? In a camp for Jake Paul to try to fight and defeat, not in a real fight, but in an exhibition, Gervonta Davis. So I'm not the smartest brother in the world, but one would have to realize that if somebody at 135 who's a champion.
Furthermore, Ego criticizes Shakur Stevenson's hypocrisy for calling the Tank Davis versus Jake Paul fight a circus fight while simultaneously joining Paul's camp. He also highlights Stevenson's lack of logic in pressuring Davis to fight Edwin De Los Santos, a fighter Stevenson himself struggled to defeat.
He's top 5. Tank needs to fight him. Tank should fight him then. Why Tank gotta fight him? That's you. Why? Like, why? I'm not understanding that logic. So these are the inconsistencies that we've seen over and over from Shakur Stevenson, bro. You also pretty much criticize the fight in and of itself. Tank versus Jake. Why would they fight? No, I'm not watching that. It's pretty much a circus fight. Okay. So it's such a circus fight, as you call it, or so uninspiring to you because you like real boxing, that you're gonna join the guy's camp. Is only 2 people fighting, so 1/2 or 50% of the main event at the time.
Away from the boxing drama, when interviewed by Neon, Jake Paul admitted that maintaining his legendary 800-day daily upload streak on YouTube required a significant personal cost. He candidly revealed that the demanding schedule of constantly filming, editing, and publishing content meant that he basically had no life.
Days did you upload?
I uploaded for like 800 days.
Yeah, Neon, he uploaded for 800 days.
Did you not feel like a robot though? Just did you not feel like robotic, like not real at some point?
Oh yeah, 100%. I didn't have a life, and I didn't know who I was or what I was doing, or what I was like working towards. It's
That's how I feel.
Jake Paul's next fight hangs in the balance with stars like Nate Diaz and Francis Ngannou in the mix. Every name brings its own storyline and stakes, keeping fans guessing. One thing's certain, whoever steps up next will make headlines.